of the best. You got him for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show under the world of outlaws.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome tonight to the Dre Broadcasting Network as we go side by side with the Roaring Thunder. Speaking of Roaring Thunder, they have a special treat for us here tonight at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but the road course, that's the road course of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway racetrack, part of round 5 of the Roaring Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series, brought to you by the Roaring Thunder. I'm your commentator, Sean Zulu. I am joined up in the Dre Broadcasting booth by David Everly, our producer, and my right-hand man. How are you tonight, Dave?
Doing great, Sean. Ready for a new experience here tonight.
Oh, you and me both, brother. You and me both. Gonna be seeing these guys go left and right for 13 turns. They have 13 turns in total right here at Indy. And Dave, what are we dealing with when it comes to temperature?
Well, taking a look at our weather tonight, it's going to be 78 degrees air temperature, but the track is a blistering 104 degrees, wind out of the north 2 miles an hour, under partly cloudy conditions.
Yeah, that is a very, very, very high track temperature, 104 degrees, and the drivers are accompanied by a 75% fuel limit. That is 75%, meaning we're going to be having at least 2 to 3 required pit stops. So 2 to 3 required pit stops, that will throw quite the loophole in these drivers' strategies. Just a recap from last week's race, the Phoenix 125. We had Robert Barras bring it home for his 3rd win of the season, actually 4th win of the season by Robert Barras, with Jeremy Horn 2nd, Charles Smith 3rd, Mark Kochik 4th, Noah Lewis 5th, Ronald Vincent 6th, Jeff Dodson 7th, Poe Cohen 8th, Stephen Leffler 9th, Keaton Bommersbach 10th, Mark McFadden 11th, and Jim Whaley Jr. did round up the top 12 of the drivers that started in last week's race. And moving on to our current point standings, we do have Robert Barras still leading in points. That is Robert Barras still leading in points. Jeremy Horn 2nd in points. We have Charles Smith 3rd, Mark Kochik 4th, Jim Whaley Jr. 5th, Keaton Bommersbach 6th, Stephen Leffler 7th, Mark McFadden 8th, Poe Cohen 9th, Ronald Vincent 10th, Jeff Dodson 11th, Noah Lewis 12th, Rick Mason 13th, Colin Nabies 14th, And Art Peck as well is 14th. So we have 2 drivers tied for 14th place in points, Kyle Nadu and Art Peck. We've actually missed both Art Peck and Kyle Nadu for a while now, but we look forward to seeing them back here before too long. But the most important thing, we do hope that they're doing okay. And if you are in the chat there, ladies and gentlemen, type it up. Thank you for tuning in to the Dre Broadcasting Network. We are glad to have you and very, very happy to have you at the exact same time. Well, going back to tonight's race, Indianapolis Motor Speedway here. This is the IndyCar Grand Prix by the Roaring Thunder Racing League. And this will be round number 5 of a heck of a season to come, or season long here. We're going back here to the race, 13 turns at 2.61. That is 2.61 miles length track. That is not too long at all, but a lot of turns, 13 turns. And these drivers have to be on their A game in order for them to be able to survive the full length of the race, and running about 1 minute 15 second lap times all the way down to about 1 minute 21 second lap times. And Dave, when it comes down to it, as usual, those pit stops will be very, very key, very, very crucial, especially at a track like this where tires are a very big factor.
Yeah, but unlike stock cars though, Sean, you got to remember these guys' pit stops are going to be like 7-8 seconds.
Yep, 7-8 seconds. Yep, sounds about right. So that is less time spent on pit road and more time racing. And Dave, I am very glad you brought that up. Yep, these things do take only a few seconds to take the required things they need. That is a very good thing, provided, for the pit crews out here. That's going to make things extra interesting. And as we speak so far, Robert Barras is on the pole. That is Robert Barras on the pole here tonight. And we only have 8 drivers putting down a qualifying time, with only 9 drivers here in the server. We are missing Noah Lewis. We look forward to seeing Noah Lewis back here with us before too long. And we have a new driver here, John Morgan. John Morgan tuning in tonight, joining us tonight for the IndyCar Grand Prix at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how much competition he has. As we see right now, he is actually 5th. In practice, so he does really know how to get the job done as well. So it's nice to see a new face. We have only a few seconds here before the grid begins. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, get your popcorn ready, get your refreshments ready. It will be a heck of a race, a lot of excitement to come here with the IndyCar's open wheel machines at a road course. 42 laps to be completed. That is 42 laps with at least 2 to 3 required pit stops. So we're going to see exactly how these drivers handle that. Well, looks like gridding has now begun, so we are going to give the drivers a few seconds before we go down this list. And the list is ready. Robert Barras once again on the pole, and this will be his 3rd pole position here so far this season. Jeremy Horn, defending champion, starting 2nd. Jim Whaley Jr. 3rd. Charles Smith 4th. John Morgan 5th. John Morgan is a new driver, new addition this season tonight. John Morgan 5th. Mark Kochik 6th. Mark McFadden 7th. Jeff Dotson 8th, and Paul Cohen in the 9th place position, giving us a 9 car field here tonight. And we are missing a couple of drivers here. We are missing, that's going to be, once again, Noah Lewis. We're missing the 88 of Keaton Bummers back as well, who is a known alien on the road course here. But we look forward to seeing these drivers back with us next week as we transfer to the actual IndyCar, well, what am I trying to say here? The actual track, the oval side of the track, is what will be next week. So Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the oval version.
Yeah, that should be exciting here. We're having the Verizon IndyCar this week doing the roadside, next week doing the oval. So they're going to have a blast here at Indianapolis.
Absolutely, and Dave, unfortunately, they won't be having, you know, usually you would say they're having a little bit of practice for the oval, I mean for the for the upcoming race. But in this case, nope. It might be the same track, but a different layout. Totally different beasts. So with that said, yeah, they're gonna have to, you know, they had to practice tonight, learn the track, and not forget all of that after tonight's race. And as we see the drivers now rolling for the first time, this time being led by Robert Barras, who is starting on the right side of the track, or right side, while Jeremy Horn, second place driver, starts on the left side with the Charles Smith, Mark Kochik, and Jeff Dotson right behind him. And yeah, we're missing a lot of drivers here tonight. Like I talked about, Noah Lewis, Keaton Bomber's back. We're missing Kyle Nadeau, including Art Peck. We look forward to seeing these drivers back here with us before too long. I don't know if I talked about Stephen Leffler as well. We're missing Stephen Leffler tonight as well. But we'll look forward to seeing these drivers back again with us, hopefully next week at the Indianapolis Oval side. I should say Oval layout. And so far we have Robert Barras trying to play with those brakes, trying to add some heat into the brakes and to help himself there as soon as the green flag flies under heavy braking. That's a good thing about this, Dave. We have a little bit of some straightaway there once the road course is complete before entering turn 1, so from turn 13 to turn number 1. So that's these guys do get up to a good amount of speed, and then turn 1 is a heavy braking zone, and a lot does go wrong in turn 1. They exit turn 13 this time by final turn here, and the driver's now about to start to go green this time by pace car gonna be dipping off before too long. The pace car is now off. Robert Barras still holding pace. We don't have the green flag to fly. The green flag does fly, and Robert Barras does not hesitate. He does find the skinnier pedal, the most important pedal here so far. And behind him, Jeremy Horn, not too far back, but very close to make a move. But just keeping in mind that this is only lap 1, not even completed lap 1. Also, one thing, Dave, to remember, these machines do not have any taillights. They do not have any taillights, so it makes it extra interesting.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, they got to brake on these turns, so it's about your braking points. But right now, Robert Barras getting out to a good lead over Jeremy Horn. Jeremy Horn in second, Jim Whaley third, Charles Smith fourth. Mark Kochik running out your top 5 here as they go through the windy part of the track.
Yep, and these drivers are already getting spread out as we speak, as usual here on the road courses. And it was because when it comes down to those different braking points, some drivers do prefer to brake later, some prefer to brake as soon as they can. Slow in, fast out is the famous saying. Too fast in, you might not be able to make it out. I see John Morgan so far having a Sunday drive, trying to just generate some heat into those tires. And one thing about these machines on the road course, they do need about, it's pretty much most machines, if not all, they do need at least 1 to 2 laps before they can start actually pushing it, because the first couple of laps they do end up being icy loose, and that is never ever a good thing. But second place driver Jeremy Horn only 7/10 behind the leader 75 of Robert Barras. They approach turn number 2 this time by Jim Whaley Jr. third, Charles Smith fourth, Mark Kochik already moving up to 5th place, John Morgan 6th, McFadden, that's Mark McFadden 7th, Jeff Dotson 8th, and Paul Coyne, she's not racing tonight. Looks like it, so we only have 8 drivers racing tonight. Oh, Dave, trouble on the track. Jeff Dotson locks those tires up. No harm done. He is still going.
Yeah, still going straight. It's just going to lose a little time there to Mark McFadden, but you said we got 42 laps here tonight, already here on lap 2, so lap times are going at a pretty good rate.
Oh yes, they are. And going back to Jeff Dodson, Dave, Jeff Dodson seems to be struggling with the machine. It seems to have understeer and oversteer at certain moments. Basically, he is fighting to turn that machine or get the machine rotated. But as we speak, he is trying his best to just take it easy. But he can't do that for too long. Because if he does that for too long, he's going to lose a lot of time. And before he knows it, he will be going a lap or more down.
Well, since they just crossed the start-finish line, what we're going to do, we're going to jump on board with our season points leader, race leader right now, Robert Burris. We're going to ride with him and take a look at a lap or two here on the Indy oval side, or road side, because I've never actually ran this course.
Yeah, but so far, Robert Barras just pretty much having a Sunday drive, enjoying that clean air. That clean air is to die for. And as we see, we could see him taking those turns, just trying to set himself up for the apexes, because those apexes are very, very important. You have to take it out from the outside to the inside, and not the other way around. Otherwise, you will not be able to make it. The only way to make it the opposite way is to pretty much take the turn at literally nothing, no speed, and maybe 5 to 10 miles an hour. And you might be able to make it then, but that is not a good thing at a road course, because you do pretty much try and keep as much speed as you can through the turns to try and better yourself. And Dave, as we speak, Robert Barras is making up. He is, I should say, he's gaining time. Well, he's increasing the gap in between him and the second place driver. Actually, the whole entire field for that matter. Last time we checked, Jeremy Horn, second place driver, was 7/10 behind him. But now that lead has gone to 1.3 seconds. So it looks like Horn is either backing it down, or Barras is trying to take while he can.
Yeah, it looks like he's got this track pretty dialed in here. 39 laps to go, so he's got a pretty good lap. I'm just wondering, Sean, are they going to be able to do it on one pit stop, or are they going to be able to go the route without a pit stop? I'm not quite sure.
Oh no, they do have a 75% fuel limit, and from what we had seen at tracks like Barber Motorsports Park, including Sebring, they had to take. Actually, yeah, they had 2 required pit stops. So yep, we should be able to see 2 pit stops here before the race is over. That's gonna make things extra interesting. And during those races, most drivers preferred to run their tanks dry. We had a couple of them who tried to make it on only 1 pit stop, but it did not seem to work out. When it came to Barber, some drivers ended up being short at least 2 to 3 laps, so it was very close, but they still were not able to make it on just 1. And as we speak, Dave, third place driver Jim Whaley Jr. is catching up second place driver Jeremy Horn. And that just might be a battle here once they get to each other's bumpers. And these things, Dave, do drop pretty well. And with that said, Jim Whaley is trying his best to get as close as he can on the oval to Jeremy Horn to benefit from that.
Yeah, most definitely. These things really work extremely well on in drafting, so I don't know, this kind of looks fun, Sean. I wish I kind of was out on the track now.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look very fun and very soothing for some. Unlike Jeff Dodson, unfortunately, who is trying his best to still maneuver that machine, but looks like he's getting the hang of it, because it was really handling negatively for him there in the very beginning, and he is about 42 seconds behind the leaders. And with that said, the leaders might be approaching him here before too long. And there we have some drivers close to each other, Mark Kochik and John Morgan. these two drivers have swapped positions again. John Morgan was in 6th last time we checked, but now he has moved up to 5th place and bumping down Mark Kochik to the 6th place spot. So let's see, we have John Morgan and Mark Kochik 5th and 6th place drivers 2 seconds apart, and Mark Kochik and Mark McFadden 3 seconds apart for 6th and 7th. And speaking of Mark McFadden here so far does seem to be pushing that machine, trying to catch up to Mark Kochik. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what the pit window might be. I'm gonna try and see here. We have 42 laps with required. Oh, actually, the pit window is gonna open up above 10 laps. So here in the next 3 to 8 laps, we should expect to see some green flag pit stops taking place. And Dave going back to the track here, John Morgan gaining on Charles Smith a lot of seconds every single lap. He has Charles Smith in his sights, and with that said, Charles Smith is definitely feeling the pressure at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens, but it looks like Charles Smith was able to get a good exit off the last turn before approaching the oval. That was turn number 12, and was able to gain some time against John Morgan. So it looks like John Morgan is faster on the oval course, while Charles Smith is a little bit quicker on the oval. That's also one thing about a road course, is that some drivers, or a track like this, Indianapolis, which is a little bit has a small oval, and then more road course than oval. Some drivers are faster on the road course, while others are faster on the oval version of it there towards the very end of the laps. So some drivers gain time here and there, and sometimes they lose time where they don't gain it. But Dave going to 3rd place, driver Jim Whaley Jr. strongly in the draft of Jeremy Horn, and he just gained a lap he gained a second this lap against Jeremy Horn, and they were now only about less than 2 seconds apart from each other. And that's about 1.3, 1.4 seconds apart. Oh, looks like Jeremy Horn made a mistake there entering turn 1, and that will cost him greatly, as Jim Whaley tries to pounce against him here before too long.
Yeah, Jim Whaley now only 0.3 of a second behind him, so he is right there. If Jeremy Horn makes him another mistake, it could cost him here. Meanwhile, Robert Burris, man, he is checked out. He is 3.7 seconds ahead of the 14 of Jeremy Horn.
Yeah, Robert Burris having a Sunday drive here tonight as well. He has had a heck of a season so far in the beginning, and seems like it's getting nothing but better. He is very strong, and his strength, he just keeps getting stronger every single... Oh, I'm driving off the track. I'm going to try and get a number. That's Jeff Dodson off the track. No harm done, and he's still rolling as we speak, but he just lost a lap. He just went 1 lap down.
Well, let's put the Dre broadcast and replay, see how he got down in the grass here. It looks like coming through the turn. He got into the grass and it caused him to spin. He was stopped on the track, so he pulled in the grass because he knew the leader was coming.
Yeah, great sportsmanship on Jeff Dodson's part, and great save most importantly. That could have been worse. These machines are so low to the ground. Great thing he did not scrape anything off the bottom of it. But yep, no harm done. We still stay green flag racing. And now going back to further back in the pack, John Morgan. Looks like Charles Smith was able to increase the gap a little bit between him and John Morgan. So John Morgan basically has to work extra hard to try and make up for lost time against Charles Smith for the 4th place position. And now 10 laps in with 33 laps remaining. And here in the next 5 to 7 laps, green flag pit stops should kick in. Speaking of green flag pit stops, Dave, Mark Kochik down pit road, this time by.
Yep, trying a little bit of pit strategy there. We have 10 laps completed, 33 laps to go. He is down on pit road. Oh, maybe he had some more damage because he's down there for a long time.
Yeah, that is possible, Dave. Yep, he was on pit road for 22.9 seconds, basically 23 seconds. And in the beginning, we talked about how the pit stops go for, or the pit times last for or range from 7 to 9 seconds. So yep, he might have maybe got caught speeding or had some damage that he had to fix. But either way, that is way too much time spent on pit road.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to put him a lap down, but he might be able to get that back, though, once the leaders in front of him go down pit road.
Yeah, that is exactly what he's hoping for. Yeah, getting his lap back the hard way, and yeah, he should actually be able to do that. But at the same time, he lost way too much time on pit road, so he'll be able to get that lap back, but he'll still be, he'll be on the lead lap, but a lot of seconds behind the leaders. And actually in front of him here, Mark McFadden. Mark McFadden here has lost a little bit of time against the 68 of John Morgan. And John Morgan being very, very consistent and is now catching up once again to the 13 of Charles Smith. And going back to the battle between Jim Whaley Jr. and Jeremy Horn, the gap has increased again. Well, David, seems like they're pretty much, it's a rubber band effect, or I should say a leapfrog in a kind of way. Basically, every lap, it's either Jim Whaley catches up to Jeremy Horn or Jeremy Horn increases the gap. So it's pretty much staying consistent every single lap because it's just going back and forth.
Yeah, except this time Jeremy Horn is actually pulled away about 2.8 seconds from Jim Whaley. So that's a pretty decent gap there. I mean, Whaley can see him, but he's got an uphill battle to try to catch the 14 of Jeremy Horn.
Oh, absolutely, man. And at this point, Jim Whaley will most likely stop at nothing. Well, he will not stop at nothing, I am very sure. I've seen this driver race here all season long this far. He never gives up. And speaking of the top 3 drivers, the top 3 drivers are pretty much, oh, actually top 5 drivers are pretty much where they started, and Robert Barras had first place practice time and qualifying time and is still in the lead. So 111 across the board. Jeremy Horn, second place practice, second place qualifying, and second place as we speak. So 222 across the board. Jim Whaley Jr. third place practice, third place qualifying, and third place at the moment. So 333 across the board. But then that's broken when it goes to Charles Smith, who did have a 5th place practice time, 4th place qualifying time, and is still currently in that 4th place position. So yeah, these drivers have been very, very strong all race long, and they had been practicing. We talked to them last week, most of them at least, at Phoenix International there for the Phoenix 125. They talked about how some of them did not have any experience whatsoever at Indianapolis road course, but looks like they're still doing an amazing job regardless.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just 30 laps remaining. We're going to go ahead and step away for our first commercial break of the night. So I am going to take a moment and we're going to go catch out some sponsors. We'll be right back here with the Dre Broadcasting Network, here with the Roarin Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series, live here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Roaring Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series as we continue tonight's race, the IndyCar Grand Prix, or the Indy Grand Prix by the Roaring Thunder Racing League Round 5 this season. We're going back to the race. Well, first of all, for those who would like to be a part of the action, check out Roaring Thunder Racing League on iRacing. They do run an IndyCar series all season long this season, and we're only 5 races in pretty much of a very, very long season. So tune in and be sure to check them out if you guys are interested. They alternate between oval tracks and road courses, so you guys you get the best of both worlds basically. So that's Roaring Thunder Racing League on iRacing. And you are watching it live on the Dre Broadcasting Network. Welcome to the Dre Broadcasting Network, and we do hope that you guys are enjoying the show. Well, going back here to the race, we've had drivers pit in already. We have some more pitting in. We have Mark McFadden down pit road this time by Charles Smith, Jim Whaley Jr., and Jeremy Horn just left pit road. So now Mark McFadden on pit road this time by. We have 2 more drivers still needing to pit in, namely John Morgan, including Jeff Dodson. And these drivers, they've pitted in with about 16 to 17 laps on their tires and tank. So with that said, yep, 1 more required pit stop.
Yeah, our current race leader is 68, John Morgan. He is making his way down on pit road as we speak. He has got, taking a look here, 17 laps. So yeah, we're going to need 1 more pit stop to be able to make it the rest of the way.
Yeah, but John Morgan going down pit road this time by as well, and scanning the field, looking at their the pit times. The driver with the fastest pit time was Jim Whaley Jr. with 6 seconds flat. That is 6 seconds flat. Then second driver from him was Robert Barris, with a 6.7 second pit stop. That is still about 3 times less than Mark Kochik, unfortunately, who had over a 20-second pit stop. It looks like he was either having some damage fixed or might have had a penalty that we don't know about, but I went back and looked at his time, his pit entry, and it did not seem as though he had sped. So yeah, damage is most likely in this case. And these drivers do have 1 quick fix, that is 1 backup car, 1 fast repair. So with that said, if they have enough damage that could end their night or affect their performance, they are more than happy or more than willing more than able to get the machine out. Gotta use my words here. But as we speak here, Robert Barris still leading. John Morgan now being shown 2nd. Jeremy Horn 3rd. Jim Whaley Jr. 4th. And Charles Smith in the 5th place spot, rounding up the top 5. And that just now changed since the pits, everything has cycled out. Basically, the new top 5 is still Robert Barris in the lead, Jeremy Horn 2nd, now 2nd, Jim Whaley Jr. 3rd, Charles Smith 4th, and John Morgan back to 5th place where he was before he went down to pit road. And as we speak, with a slow drive on the track, that was Mark Kochik. He was way under speed, but he is now back. He is now back up to speed. He just got overtaken by one of the drivers there. That was the 14 of Jeremy Horn.
Yeah, as we're starting to come down here to the collision, we have got 24 laps to go. So within the next 7 laps, they'll be in their pit window where they can make it on fuel. Question is, when are they going to come in and pit? Here is Robert Barris is pretty much running away with tonight's race. Currently an 8.6 second lead over 2nd place Jeremy Horn.
You know, Dave, even the gap between Jeremy Horn and Robert Barris in the beginning, about 1.3 seconds, that was a lot. And 8.6 seconds is a lot more than that. But yep, Jeremy is really pushing that machine, trying to actually gain some time against Barris. And it seems to be working. He is shaving off a few seconds, lap after lap. But it's very difficult to keep up with it every turn. because these turns are different and the times are all over the place, so the gap seems to be all over the place because some drivers seem to be faster in one turn while they're slow in the other turn. It's just pretty much a chain effect when you really think about it. But as we speak here, Jeremy Horn is pushing that machine for dear life and getting the most speed he can out of it.
Yeah, as we're taking a look here at Robert Burris, it looks like Mark McFadden, he is right there in front of him. He is in jeopardy of going, I think that was, let me take a look here. I think that, yeah, that's Mark McFadden. He is being caught by the race leader here just a few seconds apart, so he's in jeopardy of going a lap down.
Oh, absolutely, yep. The leaders are now about, well, he's being shown 1.9 seconds behind the, 1.9 seconds, 1 minute and 9 seconds behind the leaders, technically, in this case. So which means the leaders are only about 6 seconds behind him. And with that said, that is a lot of pressure. Actually, looks like Robert Barras, the leader, does have Mark McFadden in his sights. And Mark will be trying to push that machine for dear life as much as he possibly can to make sure Barras stays behind him as long as possible.
Yes, we're counting down these laps. Only 22 laps to go here. Lap 21 of 42. Robert Burris looks like he's on a Sunday drive here, coming away with his 5th win of the season.
Yeah, heck of a season so far for Robert Barris. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly how next week plays out and how this race plays out here tonight, because the race is still young, because we have seen people start from the back of the pack and win races. It is possible. And you know, it's a different story on the oval side of things compared to the road course like we see right before us here tonight. So you're gonna see exactly how the drivers handle this when it comes down to the final stages of the race once all pit stops have been completed. We got 4 more laps. 4 more laps before the final pit window opens up. The question is, who will be going down pit road first? But Dave, my guess is they most likely will run the tanks dry.
Yeah, they may, but somebody might try to get in there early, get on them fresh tires and see if it'll make a difference. So we'll just have to see. 21 laps to go as the leaders are starting to make their way in through the last turn here. Charles Smith here running in 4th. He's looking pretty good here in 4th, running steady laps, so he's doing real good. But I'll tell you what, Jim Whaley right now has got the fastest lap on the track of all race with a 1:15.717.
1:15.717. That's actually a faster lap time than the qualifying time he had set. That is very, very impressive by the driver indeed. And as we speak here, Robert Barras at the moment is now being shown 10 seconds ahead of Jeremy Horn, so that gap has increased a lot from the last time we checked, about 2 to 2.2 seconds from the last time we had checked. But Jeremy Horn is still hard at work trying to manhandle his machine.
Yeah, most definitely. So we are now looking at 20 laps to go, so within the next 3 to 5 laps, though, that's, well, actually they can go about another 9 laps before the 17 that we seen them come in the last time, but the pit window is going to open actually in 3 laps.
Yep, during the last pit stop, we had noticed Mark Kochik was the first driver to go down pit road for his first green flag pit stop, and might have the same strategy like you had talked about there, Dave. You talked about how some drivers might try and come in early to see if that's going to make a difference. Yep, it usually comes down to a gambling game. It all comes down to gambling towards the very end to try and outsmart your opponents. Would you rather run your tank dry? Well, I see 2 benefits from running the tank dry. I should say one great benefit from running the tank dry is that you have newer tires compared to if you pitted in as soon as the pit window had opened up. So my guess, that's why I always guess that they'll run their tanks dry, because then they'll end up having a lot newer tires towards the end of the race compared to if they had gone down pit road as soon as the pit window had opened up. but it does really vary. Or some might go in as, oh, we're driving the grass. The German horn just overtook Jeff Dotson in the grass here. No harm done. He is off the track, out of harm's way.
Well, we're going to put up the Dre Broadcasting Instant Replay. Take a look here, see what happened to the 3 of Jeff Dotson as he was sitting in the grass here. See if we can figure out what happened here. Oh, coming into the turn, it looks like he just probably overpowered it. No, drove too hard in the corner, got into the grass and the sand, and then spun it trying to get out of there. So, really unfortunate there for the 3 of Jeff Dotson.
Oh, absolutely, man. Very unfortunate for Jeff Dotson. And Jeff Dotson there did end up missing his braking point, locked those tires up, and lost control of the machine and just sucked him off the racing surface into the sand and the grass. But as we speak, he was able to dust those tires off, take both the rocks and the grass off those wheels, and is now back at maximum traction possible. And the pit window opening up here in 1 lap. And some close drivers so far. John Morgan only 3 seconds behind 13 of Charles Smith. He does have him in his sights. They are both on the straight stretch of the oval between turns 13 and turn 1. And now they try and smart each other entering turn number 1. But looks like Charles Smith does do a better job at entering turn number 1. But then John Morgan with a good exit off the turn.
Well, like you said, slow in, fast out. That's how they do it here on the roadside.
Yep, slow in, fast out always seems to work. Too fast and you might not be able to make it out. And as we speak here, John Morgan catching up to Jeff Dotson. Jeff Dotson gonna stay off the track to let him by. Great sportsmanship by Jeff Dotson, letting the faster traffic by. And Jeff Dotson is finally catching the smaller pedal and is back up to speed.
Well, as the race leader crosses their finish line, we're in that pit window. They can pit anytime and be able to make it, so it'll be interesting to see if they're going to push it to the limit or who's going to come in first. Right now, only 5 IndyCar machines left on the lead lap.
And speaking of Robert Barras has now only 6 laps left before he runs out of gas. Yeah, because the most we've seen drivers go on their tanks has been 17 laps. So it is safe to assume that that is the final window. Well, the final lap they can go before running out of gas. So that is 17 laps. So once again, here in the next 6 laps, all pit stops should be complete.
Well, unless they're playing a trick on us, Sean, they might have just come down. Might have been only able to do it on 1 pit stop. So they came down once the window opened previously. So we'll have to keep an eye on this and see how it's going to play out.
Oh, absolutely, man. Could be a possibility. And speaking of pit stops, we have 1 driver on pit road, Jeff Dotson, getting some service on that machine. He has been on pit road for over 10 seconds. Yep, and he actually now over 20 seconds. So it looks like he might be getting some damage fixed that we do not know about. Oh, actually, Dave, the driver, is out of the machine. So Jeff Dotson is not in his car.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we got 16 laps to go, we're going to go ahead and take our final commercial break of the night here. Give everybody a chance to get a refill on their drinks and snacks. We'll be right back here on the Dre Broadcasting Network, the Roarin' Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series, live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Don't let your first date be your last. Visit People Against Distracted Driving at PADD.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Indy Grand Prix. This is round 5 of the Roaring Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series. Well, for all those interested in joining the Roaring Thunder Racing League, they do run IndyCar Series on Saturday nights. That is Saturday nights IndyCar Series. And on Tuesday nights, they run Pro Mazda Series. It's an open wheel machine, as well as Pro Mazda Series on Tuesday nights. So you guys can join either of those based on your preferences. So check out Roaring Thunder Racing League on iRacing for those who would like to be a part of the action. And for the viewers in the chat, welcome to the Dre Broadcasting Network. We do hope that you guys are enjoying the show here tonight. And going back to the race, we have pit stops taking place as we speak. We have Robert Barras just going down pit road this time by Jeremy Horn pitted in 1 lap before Robert Barras. Charles Smith still needs to pit in. John Morgan still needs to pit in. Jim Whaley pitted in 2 laps ago. Mark McFadden a lap ago. And Mark Kochek 3 laps ago. And Jeff Dodson most likely has retired for the evening because he is still on pit road as we speak. He has been on pit road for over 400 seconds. That is over 3 minutes down pit road by Jeff Dodson. So maybe he might have some damage that we do not know about. But yes, final pit stop here taking place with now 11 laps left in the race. And as we speak, Dave, John Morgan, the 68, is catching up to the 13 of Charles Smith. They do have each other in sight. And with that said, they might just be going down pit road at the same time because they still need to pit in. Actually, interestingly enough, the 2 drivers are the only ones who still need to pit in. And John Morgan has Jeremy Horn right behind him. They are on the exact same lap. Dave, that is never a good thing, being on the same lap as someone who just pitted in and who's right behind you.
Yeah, most definitely. But I tell you what, Robert Burris, he was able to come down pit road, and he was able to maintain the lead, though, coming in and off pit road. Question is anybody going to be able to catch him as he comes across the start-finish line? We are now 10 laps to go.
Yep, and Jeremy Horn gets around John Morgan. John Morgan taking the taxi road down to pit road here this time by with 16 laps on his tires. 16 laps on his tires this far. Let's see, second place driver Charles Smith still staying out, being shown 13 seconds behind the leader Robert Barras, and Jeremy Horn 15 seconds behind Robert Barras. And looking at the pit times of both Barras and Jeremy Horn, they are identical, 6.5 seconds spent on pit road. So both drivers did tie for having the fastest time on pit road at the same time as 48 of Mark McFadden. And Dave, let's focus on Charles Smith. Charles Smith is really struggling to get that machine to rotate. Looks like since those tires are gone, it's just becoming icy loose, less grip, which means you have to use less speed through the turns in order for you to be able to rotate the machine. And as we speak, Charles Smith is pretty much using up as much of the track as he possibly can. Speaking of Charles Smith, he enters the last turn, is going down pit road. You have Charles Smith going down pit road, this time by. And this finally does round up our second and final round of green flag pit stops here tonight for the Indy Grand Prix. round 5 of the Roaring Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series, and Charles Smith now rolling off pit road. And here Jeremy Horn, 16 seconds behind the leader, is trying his best to make up as much time as he possibly can, because these are now the closing stages. And Jeremy Horn there touches a little bit of grass, misses braking points, but no harm done. He is still going nice and strong. And at this point, we have two drivers being shown one lap down, Mark McFadden and Mark Kochik. And these drivers are racing against each other for the 6th place spot so far. Mark McFadden is the driver hanging on to that, while Mark tries his best, Kochik tries to hunt him down because they are both Marks. And right now, Mark Kochik does have John Morgan in his sights. At the same time, John Morgan is trying to hunt down 13 of Charles Smith.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Robert Burris, though, I just can't get over how quick he has been here tonight. 17-second lead over Jeremy Horn, but Jeremy Horn, he's got 18 seconds between him and Jim Whaley Jr. sitting in 3rd. Charles Smith, another 18 seconds back and forth, and then you got John Morgan sitting there in 5th, so they are way spread out all over this track, Sean.
Absolutely, man. Very, very spread out. And these pit stops do just that. They do spread out the field. And like you like to talk about, Dave, the green flag pit stops do separate the men from the boys. And yep, these lap times all over the place on the intervals. And as we speak here, John Morgan and Charles Smith 6 seconds apart before the pit stops kicked in. Before the final round of pit stops, they were about actually less than a second to a second and a half apart. But yep, that went up a lot more. And looking at both their pit times, Charles Smith had a 7.2 second pit stop, while Morgan had a 7.4 second pit stop, which is 2/10 more than Charles Smith. And now only about 6 laps remaining, or 7 laps remaining. And Robert Barras here, status check. He is now exiting the last turn here, turn number 13 on the oval course, or the Roval. And here, let's see, he's catching up to a slower car. That's going to be Mark Kochik. Mark Kochik is way under speed. Mark Kochik is now, looks like Mark Kochik was backing it down to let Robert Barras by. Great sportsmanship. And now Robert Barras' next victim is Mark McFadden for 6th place. Well, Mark is in 6th, so Mark will be trying to fighting to maintain the 1 lap down, because if he gets overtaken, he will be going 1 more lap down to be put down to 2 laps down.
Well, with just 6 laps to go, Robert Burris leading. A good point here is we're going to take a look here at our race report. No lead. We've had 2 lead changes, no caution laps so far here tonight. Meanwhile, fastest lap of the night was actually put down by Robert Burris. He surpassed Jim Whaley Jr. He put down a 1 minute 15.665. That is a fast lap here at Indy.
And Dave, Jeff Dodson, last time we checked on Dodson was on pit road, but now he is back on the racing surface. So it looks like his pit crew was able to fix the machine fix the damage that he might have had, because he was out of his machine for a very long time. Spent over 500 seconds down pit road, and is now out here trying to put down as many laps as he possibly can here before the race ends, having only 5 laps remaining. And Charles Smith now approaching the back bumper of the 3 of Jeff Dodson on the oval.
Yeah, he's sitting right there in a good 4th position. Good points finish here tonight as he's working his way across the start-finish line into the first couple of turns. Jim Whaley Jr. sitting 3rd, Charles Smith 4th, and John Morgan, newcomers, sitting there in 5th.
Yeah, great start to the season by the 68 of John Morgan. He has been consistent all race long, all night long here tonight. Oh, and it looks like Charles Smith was able to gain some time against John Morgan by the looks of it. Last we checked, they were 6 seconds apart, but now they are over 10 seconds apart. So it looks like John Morgan... Oh, John Morgan spins out! Oh, man! That is going to put a lot more seconds between them. That is unfortunate.
That's actually going to put him a lap down as the 75 Robert Burris was right there, got around him. So now we only have 4 cars left on the lead lap.
Yep, Robert Burris still taking names as we speak. He has seemed to have had a Sunday drive all race long here tonight. As we had seen, he has been very, very dominant here tonight, and he was last week too. So pretty much dominant all season long. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly how these drivers respond to that next week at the oval course. Because Dave, like we always talk about, these machines draft extra well. Well, I should say way too well, if you ask me. And looking at the gaps here between the drivers, the top 2 drivers, Jeremy Horn, Robert Barris, 2nd and 1st place, respectively backwards. Looks like they are about 18 seconds apart from each other. Jim Whaley Jr. 40 seconds behind Robert Barris, and Charles Smith 58 seconds behind Robert Barris. And Charles Smith is trying his best to stay on the lead lap while at the same time trying to gain some time against Jim Whaley Jr. for 3rd place, because they are about 18 seconds apart.
Yeah, with 3 laps to go, Robert Burris, all he's got to do is just hit his points. He has been fast last lap. He actually ran a 15.955 last lap. So that's about a second faster than Jeremy Horn. Jeremy Horn ran a 1:16.585. So he's not letting up. He is just running as hard as he was at the start of the race.
Yep, and great lap times by Robert Barris. He is still hot lapping as we speak here with that mighty extra clean air that is to die for once again. And Jeff Dodson is still down, down period again. Looks like maybe his machine was not fixed as well as he wished, but he is still on pit road now for some more service. And now we have only 2 laps remaining, Dave. 2 laps remaining. And we have not said it at all yet tonight. It is go time.
Yeah, it's go time. 2 laps to go. Robert Burris now to a 20-second lead over Jeremy Horn. Jeremy Horn's got a 22-second lead over Jim Whaley. And Jim Whaley's got a 19-second lead over Charles Smith. Those are our only 4 cars right now left on the lead lap.
Yep, and Charles Smith here only 14 seconds apart from the leader, Robert Barris. So, by the looks of it, he might be able to stay on the lead lap because only 2 laps left. But yep, Robert Barris does have. Oh, actually no, that's not him. But Robert Barris has Mark McFadden in sight, and Robert Barris already put Mark Kochik a lap down. So now his next victim is Mark McFadden. But something tells me McFadden is going to be able to hold him off before the race is over.
Yeah, and here comes the leader. He is coming to the line. That is going to bring out the white flag here at the Indy Road Course. So the white flag is out.
Yep, the white flag is out, and big wheel lockup by Mark McFadden. Heavy smoke in turn 1, but no harm done by Mark. He was able to get. Oh, he's still smoking his tires. Looks like he's trying his best to stay on the lead lap here on the final lap. Well, he's trying to stay a lap down and avoid going 1 more lap down as we speak of the white flag.
Yeah, most definitely here is we have seen pretty much Robert Burris lead most of night here, leading 39 laps. Jeremy Horn did lead 2, so Jeremy Horn's going to get the bonus points for leading laps, but it's been Robert Burris all night long.
Oh yes, it has been. And speaking of Robert Barris, here Robert Barris approaching the S-turns as we speak. He is actually getting some time against Mark McFadden, but McFadden still really pushing that machine as much as he can. And he has to approach the oval. The final turn coming up, turn 13, and the checkered flag will be flying.
Unfortunately, Robert Burris made a mistake there. He actually got spun around, but he had a good enough lead though. Is it going to affect him as he's coming here into the turn? So he is going to take the checkered flag here tonight.
Yep, checkered flag taken by Robert Barris for his 5th win of the season of 5 races. Congrats to Robert Barris yet again here at the Indy Grand Prix. This is round number 5 of the Roaring Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series. This was the road course in Indianapolis, but the race is not yet over. Some drivers still putting down some time. Jeremy Horn finishing now 12 seconds behind Barris in 2nd place. Jim Whaley Jr. 3rd. Actually, Jim Whaley is now approaching the start-finish line here as we speak. The last turn, that's actually turn number 1 on the oval side. But yep, he brings this thing home. He runs on the podium. 3rd place, Charles Smith still racing 4th. John Morgan 5th. Mark McFadden 6th. Mark Kochik 7th. And Jeff Dodson in the 8th place position. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we watch Robert Barris do his victory lap, we'll be interviewing the top 3 drivers, Robert Barris, Jeremy Horn, and Jim Whaley Jr., so please stay tuned. Well, Robert, as usual, the TV is all yours, so please, blind us, Robert, blind us. Well, we are joined up in the Dre broadcasting booth by the top 3 drivers, Robert Barris, Jeremy Horn, and Jim Whaley Jr. We are going to start with from the top to the bottom with the winner for his 5th win of the season at the 5th track, Robert Barris. Get a cup there, buddy.
Well, got you.
How you doing tonight?
I'm catching my breath after that last turn onto the straightaway there.
Yep, we noticed that, man. You did not make a single mistake all race long and made it one time on the final lap. But at that point, you were over 19 seconds ahead of 2nd place driver Jeremy Horn. So you had a lot of room for error. And that was very nice to see you stay consistent all race long tonight. But tell us about your experience.
Yeah, I've not a typical story. I've not really run this track before in terms of the road course. I found in practice it's really deceiving. These turns seem like they're, you can take them pretty fast, but really they end up tightening up on you on exit, and you can be really patient getting back to the gas and carrying speed through them. And so once I kind of figured that out and figured the rhythm of a couple of the infield sections, that I think it's like turns 3, 4, and 5 that kind of loop back on each other. Once I got that figured out and got some patience, and I could keep the tires on it, and found I had good pace. So then it was just a matter of not making any mistakes or I guess getting enough of a lead to make one mistake. I got just a little too excited there, getting back to the gas out of that turn, and got the car a little upset, and I just, instead of trying to save it and stuffing it in the wall and throwing the whole thing away, I just went ahead and let it come around, stayed in the gas, and spun it around, and got it to point it right back, and got back to the finish line.
Absolutely, man. It was an eventful race on your part. And yeah, we are glad that you were able to survive. It would have been a shame for you to work that hard or race long and just lose the race, the last lap, last turn before the oval course there, the Roval. But yeah, that was nice, a nice save on your part and avoiding throwing away the win like you might have if you had, overdone it. And having triple ones across the board, first place, practice, qualifying, and the race, very, very impressive. And Robert, towards the very end of the race, your lap times kept getting nothing but faster. You're pretty much hot lapping towards the very end of the race, and that was amazing to see. But next week, Robert, we're going to a different track, a whole different, well, not a different track, same track, different layout, but a whole different beast in this case. And these machines do draft extra well, way too well. With that said, buddy, what are your plans for next week?
Kind of the same thing it's been the whole season. Just be patient. See how the race plays out. The thing that I have the most experience with in these cars is the oval track here, running the Indianapolis 500 races every year. So I've got some experience there. That's going to be probably where I find I'm the most comfortable. I expect it's going to be probably one of the tightest, closest fields that we have all season, especially when we factor in the cautions and the fuel limit and the length of the race. It's going to be challenging, but it's going to be fun. The lap times, yeah, I had my full assortment of push passes, so I was just unloading them while I still had them. So that's where those lap times were coming from. Just I was using 2 push passes a lap the last 3 or 4 laps.
Oh, 10-4, man. Well, it's been a success so far throughout your whole entire season this far. It's very, very nice to see you, Robert. Keep up the good work. I look forward to seeing you again next week on the oval course of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Go celebrate again. And before you go, but any final words?
Just thanks for everything Jeff does to put this thing on, and what you guys do to bring this to the broadcast. It's a good group of guys. It's a good way to get distracted. We had some things going on this week with one of our cats, and I think we got some good news, but this is a good distraction for a couple of hours. So again, thanks to Jeff for hosting all this.
Congrats on your success again there, Robert. Go celebrate, keep up the good work, and see you again next week at Indy Oval.
Yeah, we'll see how much gas this thing's got left.
And that was Robert Barras for his 5th win of the season at race 5. But next, driver, the defending champion Jeremy Horn finished 2nd place last week and 2nd place this week, having triple twos across the board here tonight. Get a cup there, Jeremy.
10-4, I got you.
Right in tonight.
I'm doing well. It was challenging tonight, a little bit tired, but I'm doing good.
Oh man, I can only imagine. Hey, Jeremy, towards the very beginning of the race, you seem to have been very consistent with Jeremy Horn. No, that's you, sorry. With Robert Barras, you seem to have been very, very consistent. Basically, it was either you were catching him or it was every lap. One lap you catch him, next lap he would gain time. It was just pretty much going back and forth with you guys until the first round of green flag pit stops kicked in, which was what really put a bigger gap between the two of you. Tell us about your race tonight.
Yeah, we had a good cat and mouse game going on. Him, myself, and Robert there the first stint, and Robert come in a lap early, and he was able to put in a really good in and out lap, and I just wasn't able to match that, and that pretty much told the tale. After that, I was pretty much just hanging out there about halfway between Jim and Robert the rest of the race.
Oh, most definitely. And when it came to the final pit stop of the evening, we noticed you had a great strategy. You had a very, very good pit stop of about 6.5 seconds. Actually tied with the leader there, Robert Barras, when it came to the pit stops. And you talked about last week how you struggled on pit entrance. You were braking about 100 feet sooner. Were you able to figure that out a little bit better this tonight?
Yeah, tonight was a lot better because it was a consistent run in there, so you could just hold her wide open until you got what you thought it was, and just kind of lock the brakes up and put on the limiter and try to get stopped right there, right before the end there. So I did good coming on and off of pit road tonight. Robert had too much for me tonight.
Oh, most definitely, man. You did all you could do tonight, and that is all it takes. That is all you need to get the job done, man. Finishing second is a win in my book, and as much of a challenge as it was here tonight for you guys getting around the track. And next week, man, it can be anybody's race. The oval with a lot of draft, or with the draft playing the most important role. What are your plans for next week, basically? What are your expectations?
Well, I wish I could say I'd be here with them next week. I have prior commitments next week, which really kills me. I'm an Indiana boy myself, and I like running the oval, but I won't be able to be with them next week. But it'll be tough because there's always a lot of cautions because you think you can stuff the car going into 1 or 3 sometimes, and it doesn't work out a whole lot sometimes.
Almost definitely, man. We are sorry to hear about you not being able to make it to next week's race, but we look forward to seeing you the race after that, which will be at Michigan International Speedway for the Pure Michigan 250. Well, buddy, congrats on your success here tonight again, being the defending champion. And before I let you go, Jeremy, any final words?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you for broadcasting this for us. It takes a lot of time and effort to do this, and Jeff and everybody who runs this thing, they do a really good job. As Robert was talking about, it's fun to come out on a Saturday night and go to hang with these guys. And thanks for my wife and my son that let me do this. And it just it's great to come out on a Saturday night and have a bunch of fun with these guys like we are able to do.
Well, congrats on your success once again there, Jeremy. We look forward to seeing you after next week at Michigan. Have a good night and go celebrate.
Thank you.
That was Jeremy Horn, second place finisher tonight and defending champion. But next in line is the 46 of Jim Whaley Jr., another heavy opponent, contender here tonight. Get it up there, Jim.
Hey, gotcha.
How you doing tonight?
Thoroughly surprised.
Well, Jim, last week was not your week. It didn't seem like last week at Phoenix you did end up having a very rough night. But tonight was a whole different story, whole different ball game. You were able to master or exercise a lot of patience. At one point, we noticed you were very close, within 1/10 of a second, apart from or behind Jeremy Horn, and that draft just kept sucking you in every now and then. But how was your race tonight?
I'm horrible at road courses. I really can't even figure out how I managed to finish this series. This car and me have had a love-hate, completely hate relationship all season. I can't catch a break. I threw away a win, and then tonight I struggled with this. If I've got a mouse or a carrot in front of me, I'm fine. But if I lose that, I can't keep consistent, and that was it. One minute I'd go a 1:15.7, next lap I'm at a 1:18, and then once I couldn't stay consistent if there was nobody in front of me, and that's that.
Oh, 10-4, man. Very sorry to hear about your misfortune there tonight. And so far this season, like you had talked about, your love-hate relationship with the machine so far this season. But Jamie's still doing an amazing job despite that. You think you're doing bad, but trust me, man, you're doing very good, man. Way better than you might think. And tonight you did really shine, having triple threes across the board. 3rd place practice, 3rd place qualifying, and 3rd place towards the end of the race, rounding up the podium finishes. And this track is not the easiest one there is. You have a lot of tricky turns out there, and just it takes a lot of focus. It requires a lot of focus in order for you to be able to be successful, and fatigue does play a very key role. But it was still nice seeing you do the best that you could tonight. But Jim, next week we're shifting to something a little bit, I want to say less challenging, but it's draft based. the oval side of things, the oval course of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. With that said, you do look forward to having a better race there?
Not after Phoenix. I didn't even make 6 laps. So I mean, it just we'll see. I mean, everybody is a contender, so everybody has to have a spot. And with multiple cars, there's only one spot going into the corner. So it'll definitely be a race of attrition, and my luck says no.
Oh, trust me, Jim. No, you will do an amazing job, man. I look, you know, positive thoughts, and you've done an amazing job tonight. So next week will be amazing too. You were able to just stay consistent and stay out of trouble, and that was very, very amazing to see. We'll look forward to seeing your performance better. We'll look forward to seeing you 2 spots higher next week on the oval course. Well, Jim Whaley, man, before we let you go, any final words or shout-outs you'd like to give?
Want to say hey to my son Trevor. He's at home watching. Jeff and the guys at RTL, you guys at Dre Broadcasting, and my team for Surefire Racing and RNG Motorsports. I'm not putting in the greatest compliment to everyone, but I'm at least making flashes of brilliance, so we'll just go with that one.
Oh, 10-4, buddy. I also want to give a big thank you to Trevor supporting his dad, Jim Whaley Jr. Say, if you're watching this, Trevor, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting your dad as you race here tonight at Indianapolis Road Course. Well, Jim, congrats on your success tonight. We look forward to seeing you 2 spots higher, like we said, next week on the oval. Have a good night and go celebrate.
Thanks. It'll be nice if that happens.
And that was Jim Whaley Jr. finishing 3rd here tonight, rounding up interviews top 3 drivers Robert Barras, Jeremy Horn, and Jim Whaley Jr. Well, that does bring the broadcast to a conclusion, and this was the Roaring Thunder Racing League Indy Grand Prix by the Roaring Thunder Racing League Verizon IndyCar Series. Well, Dave, any thoughts?
Yeah, it was a great race, but I can't wait till next week. IndyCar, fast, oval draft, should be a good one.
And the next race, speaking of that, will be named the Salute to the Veterans Indianapolis 250. That's Salute to the Veterans Indianapolis 250 IndyCar Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval. And that's going to be with IndyCars as usual, because that's what this is what we're running here all season long. And once again, for all those interested in this, please check out the Roaring Thunder Racing League on iRacing to be a part of the action. They do alternate between oval and road courses every single week. I am Sean Zulu and David Everly behind the cameras. See you again next week. At the same time, we have a broadcast coming up. Next broadcast is on Monday night with the Extreme Motorsports 99.com KNN series. So if you guys would like to be a part of that, check us out then. I am Sean Zulu and David Everly. Have a good rest of the weekend, and thanks for watching.